What does it mean to stand in your spiritual sovereignty? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sylvia Salo and I help light workers and starseeds to remember who they are. And in this video I want to talk about spiritual sovereignty. Spiritual sovereignty is something that is so important and something that we have collectively forgotten. Because when we are in our spiritual sovereignty, we are standing in the authority of our soul and our soul's expression and the soul experiences that we've had over lifetimes. And when we are in the spiritual sovereignty, we are not putting anything between us and the source or God. And this is the first thing that's related to spiritual sovereignty. You don't put anything in between you and the source. You don't put in anything that would pollute that connection. So you are all the time in the highest alignment with what we call God and source. And this is your really GPS through life, and you make all the decisions in alignment with your connection with source. So what it means, we don't put any fears on a pedestal. We don't put other people on a pedestal. We don't put certain situation on a pedestal. Nothing gets in the way to us and the source. And so, to an external viewer, such living may seem at the first sight as selfish. But actually it isn't selfish, because if someone truly lives in alignment with their spiritual sovereignty and in alignment with source, they simply can see through the illusions of this reality. And so for them there's no reason to pretend that those illusions are real. They're able to cut through those illusions. And so now imagine that kind of living when you are 100% aligned with source. And if this was the case, what would have to change in your life? Because when we are in that sovereignty, we make different choices. So, do you feel being fully connected to source? Is that connection the most important in your life? Or do you put there some relationships or worries or job or something else? What's the most important for you? When we are in that spiritual sovereignty, it's that connection with source. Now the second thing that happens when we step into spiritual sovereignty is that we connect even more with our soul, the higher self, and our I am presence. We are able to really align with it completely. So you are able to communicate with your soul and simultaneously with the higher self and the I am presence. And that connection is just getting stronger and deeper. Of course, we've always been connected to those aspects of us. But when we come into this planet, we forget that connection. Also during the time of Lemuria, Atlantis, and other moments in the history when the consciousness was falling, we have felt separation from those higher aspects of ourselves. And so when we are in the spiritual sovereignty, we are connecting to those non-physical aspects of ourselves, and through them we are being connected, plugged back into source. Of course, we've always been connected to the source, but the human mind may forget it. It may believe in all kinds of illusions, and it may believe in separation, which isn't real. Now the third thing that happens when you are in spiritual sovereignty is that your pillar of light activates. And if you don't know how to activate your pillar of light, in the past I made a video where I walk you through the pillar of light activations. And I'll make sure to link it down below for you so you can go and do the activation. But the pillar of light is really that something that connects you to your soul and higher self. And it connects you ultimately to source. So when you are in spiritual sovereignty, you operate within the pillar of light. Literally, it looks like white light, like a tube of white light, and you are standing inside of it at all times. Then the fourth thing that happens when we step into the spiritual sovereignty is that the fear has to leave. Now, I don't talk about the common obvious fears like the fear of spiders, for instance. I'm referring to the fears that are deeply seated in the soul. And all those fears, it's okay to have them, and it's okay to witness them, but they don't have to own you. You can just realize, okay, so there is something where I am not fully in my full authority, but I take ownership of the process of releasing it, of facing it. And as I do so, I eventually let go of those fears. And when we are in sovereignty, we also are not in the victim mindset. It goes against each other. And so, if you were in your sovereignty, what would you choose to do? As a sovereign being, how would you choose to experience your life? When you are in that sovereignty, it means you can do anything. It's really just something that shifts and changes in the mind. When we remember our sovereignty, we suddenly are guided to situations and decisions that are the best for us and for our growth. And we don't go into the fear and other lower timelines and frequencies. The fifth thing that happens when we are in spiritual sovereignty is that we respect other people's choices. Now, on the journey of being a light worker or starseeds, you may sometimes think that you know better what should be, what should happen for the other person. But do you actually? When you look at other people's choices from that sovereign perspective, you realize that you can trust their higher self for guiding other people, just like the higher self is guiding you. And so you don't have to go and fix them or help them and heal them. If there is an invitation, that's a different story. Or if you truly feel that call from the depth of the soul. But in many cases, the desire to come and fix somebody comes from the ego. Because when the mind is unhealed, it's trying to heal itself through other people, so it's projecting its wounds externally. And by focusing on that external image and experience, it believes it can heal itself. But when you act as a sovereign being, you also respect the choices of other people, even if it's something completely different than you would ever choose. It's okay. We all can choose what we want to choose because we have that free will. And in the 3D, we are here to experience things. There are natural consequences to certain choices, and the soul is evolving through those choices. But we don't try to, step in and fix something and heal something from that low state of consciousness. And there is that trust that whatever people experience, let's say your family or friends, they have to experience it for some reason. And you may not know the reason. You don't know their soul's journey. You cannot know why they experience it. But you trust that there is higher, deeper meaning in it. And of course, you may be invited to be an active participant in somebody else's healing journey. It's a different thing. But now I'm really referring to when, let's say, people awaken. They look at their friends and they start judging. Oh, my friends are so stuck. My friends are so 3D. Or they are choosing this and that thing. This is not coming from a place of sovereignty. It's coming from the place of judgment. And from the ego and separation. Another thing that happens when you step into your spiritual sovereignty is that you remember your divinity. And this is helping to realize and understand that you are unconditionally worthy and deserving of what your soul wants to experience. You don't have to go and earn it. Nothing in this reality can actually add anything to your value, to your inherent value, and nothing can remove it. And so when you remember your divinity, you are able to feel and connect to your purest essence, which is perfect and infinite. And when this happens, you stop doubting your worth. And when you stop doubting your worth, suddenly you allow yourself to have the healing, because now you feel worthy of it. Of course you can heal. Of course you can experience yourself the way you want to. Of course things can move beautifully in your life. You don't have to prove yourself before something can happen. So this is an important aspect of sovereignty. Another thing that happens when we step into spiritual sovereignty is that we let go of any form of codependency. You are not a parent to anyone except for your children, but for anyone else. You are not a parent to other people, so don't act as one. And also don't make other people being dependent on you. So any relationship that is really formed based on the fear or low frequency, it will be dissolved as you are stepping into sovereignty. So where do you have codependency in your life? Focus on those areas, because this is one of your greatest assets where you can learn and grow so much. Another thing that happens when you step into your sovereignty is that you stop playing small. Now, we all are somehow limiting ourselves. But as you go into that spiritual sovereignty more and more, all that littleness, smallness, limitations, they will be dissolving because they are not aligned with that sovereignty. So where do you keep yourself small? Out of solidarity to somebody else. Because in those relationships, you operate from the level of the ego, which is trying to find likeness, approval, whatever it is, love through somebody else. And it believes that it has to lower itself and the frequency to have something, to receive something from somebody else, because it doesn't believe that it has it already on the inside. And this is a long journey to go. You can do this literally for lifetimes. And there will be no time when this strategy will work out. And I know that this is something that's scary to everyone. To step into our greatness, to step into our light and into our potential. But let's make it a conscious journey. Let's be in a conscious relationship with our potential and greatness. Let's step into it more and more and more. Because that smallness doesn't really serve anyone, and it doesn't inspire or heal anyone either. And the last thing I want to mention in this video is that you step into your soul's power. The soul's power is completely different from the ego power. The soul's power is not trying to control something. It's not trying to gain more and more and more. It's desiring to express and experience itself. And you become the authority for your own self. You realize when you are in your soul's power that everything is between you and you and your soul. And so you are becoming the highest version for yourself. And when it happens, you also inspire other people. And so through your own embodiment, you are able to heal and uplift and inspire others. So there's a beautiful synergistic effect that takes place when we are stepping into our soul's power. And when we are in the soul's power, there is no space for that littleness. So when you are tapping into your sovereignty, you stand tall, energetically speaking. There's a stable flow of energy moving through you. You know that when you are making some decision, that the decision is about who you are in this situation. And so you are learning to take responsibility for yourself and your actions. You are not hiding anywhere anymore. You are allowing your inner light to shine more. So if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel to help spread this message. I appreciate you a lot and see you in the next video.